So this is just not to go live to just show people that I'm preaching or whatever. This is just to some verses that I have. I'm gonna go live on just to help people. That's it. Help myself as well. Definitely not to brag, because the Bible teaches us don't worry about bragging and boasting and things like that. That's one thing I want to tell people. Don't worry about those things. Just do what you got to do for the Lord. That's all you have to do, and everything will work itself out. I'd rather God lift me up versus me lift myself up. And that's what the Bible even teaches us. So don't worry about people seeing who you are and all those things. Just do your thing, get dressed how you get dressed, drive whatever you drive, and don't get the big head, right? Don't be boastful and things like that. That some people may think you are, but that's what you can't worry about what others think, right? You can't worry about what others think unless it's true about you. Other than that, don't worry about it. And even if it is true, I still won't worry about it, because what people don't know is whatever I deal with, I take it to the Lord. So I thank you for your concern. But the Bible teaches us to do what? We have to pray for one another. And that's the thing we have to remember. Pray for me as I pray for you. The prayers of the righteous do what? Avail it much. So we have to remember, we must remember that, right? We must remember to pray for each other, not talk about each other. That's one thing we have to always remember. So this is what we're going to be talking about Sunday, this coming up Sunday at church. And I'm probably going to record it. It depends on how I feel when I get there. Sometimes I don't record everything I talk about. I really don't, but I may record it. It just depends on how I feel when I get there. But just in case you miss it, this is what we're going to talk about, and this will help some people. So we're talking about understanding Jesus, right? Understanding who Jesus is, not was, because he still lives. You know the song. So we're just understanding who Jesus is and what Jesus is all about. And it's pretty simple, right? And that's one thing we have to remember. We have to remember to take up on the ways of Jesus, right? And we have to remember to go back. See, we make things so difficult today. ABC 1, 2, 3. The Bible says you can understand me. He says the wise and the clever, they don't understand me. But the one with the childlike mind does. So we it's hard for us to go back to childlike mind. You got folks with degrees and folks that know it all and all those type of things. You got to go back, because the know-it-alls miss the mark. You running a race, and you running a race and you pass the finish line. You don't even know it. Hey man, the finish line right there. You keep on running. You keep on going. You kept on going. Hey bro, the finish line is right here. Why you keep? I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. Now take a rest. The Bible says rest, and sometimes some people have to tell me, "Church, you gotta rest." Even God rested. I'm like, oh, I understand. Even he rested. So we have to remember that. Sometimes we got to go back, and we think God is, which God is here. He's omnipotent, but he's here for a reason. God is up here for us. We're here. We're below, right? And we have to look up to God. And we have to ask questions like, Lord, I'm dealing with this. And we have to confess those things, right, that we're dealing with. We have to give those things to God, right? I want to pause it because I may get a call and I don't know if it'll save it. So those are things that we have to do. Go back to the basics, right? Anything that you deal with, anything that you want to change from, right? So anything you deal with, that's everybody. That's like if we were in a church with 1 million people, not even a church, a hospital, a crowd, 1 million people, and I asked them a question: is anybody here dealing with anything? That's everybody. Everybody gonna raise their hand. Everybody gonna raise their hand. all 1 million people. So what you have to do, okay? So you got your problem. It's right here. This your problem, okay? This your problem. You know your problem or problems, whatever. Take all those and write them down or put them on your heart, right? Confess it. When you confess it, you're saying, hey, I deal with this, Lord. I don't know why. Take it from me. Or you might say, I deal with this, Lord, and it's because of such and such. Take it from me. But the whole point is you recognize it, that you have a problem, then you take it and then you confess it. You give it to God. You let God, I know I deal with this. It could be drugs. It could be alcohol. It could be porn. It can be adultery, sexual relations, anything of that nature. Anything that causes you to fall off track from the Lord. Anything that causes you to feel a certain way is a stumbling block. Is a block. Is a block in your way. Right? It's blocking your way. So anything that causes confusion, right? Anything, you can ask God to help you break away from those things. So, okay, so number one, we said recognize your problem or problems. Remember, number one, right? Confess. So recognize could be writing them down. 2, confess. Confess it to God. 3, get rid of anything that reminds you of that. Because you have to say if it's alcohol, you need to get rid of all the liquor in the house. That's just what it is. Or stay away from it if you can't. You know, you may stay with some people that drink. And you just have to, maybe you have to leave out the house for about 5 minutes or something. Some people that smoke, if the blunt is fired up and you try not to smoke, maybe you just got to walk out the house for about 5 minutes or something, then come back. You know, I don't know. You know, whatever you deal with, you know. So you have to, so what we say, recognize, we said recognize, write the problem down, and number 2 was to confess, and number 3 is to get rid of anything that reminds you of it, okay? And number 4, you ask God to forgive you. Then you pretty much forgive him. So 5, things may come back up. You know, those things may come back around, and you have to keep reminding yourself to get rid of those things. Just keep walking away. Just keep walking away from those things and asking God to, you got to have a plan. So when those things come up, just pretty much repent like, nah, I ain't doing it, Lord. Nah, I ain't going to do that. I almost went back, but I ain't going to do it. You know, I ain't gonna. Keep the word close to you, close near to your heart. And the word is you. You got the word in your heart. And you could just simply say, Lord, I can't do that. I can't go back to the way I used to be because it hinders me, you know. So, Lord, I got to stay back, you know. So just try to work on those things. And those will help you become better, right? We have to do those things, right? We have to. Now you're asking me, what if I go back to doing the things that I used to do? Huh? Well, stay tuned. When next time we come back, we'll talk about those things. When you go back to those things, right? If you go back. What happens if you slip up, right? Is it the end of the world? It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I wanted to go into Matthew, what we were going to be talking about this Sunday, but looks like we didn't have time. I gave you 5 or 10 minutes of a word, so we won't. This is a word. This is a great word we just talked about. So we won't worry about what we're going to preach on Sunday. Just stay tuned. I'll try to record it. Like I said, we'll talk about all those things. But just remember to recognize your problems and confess your problems to God. Recognize, confess, and then ask God to forgive you. Remember that. Recognize, confess, ask God to forgive you. Them things may come back up. But if they come back up, have a plan. Get rid of those things, right? And ask God to forgive you. Ask God to help you. Ask God for the strength. Because we need the strength. And this is another thing I learned. Some of you guys are gym guys that go to the gym rats like myself. Sometimes I can go to the gym sick, hurting, but I still get through the workouts. I push myself through these workouts. So if I can push myself through these workouts that are difficult, I can get through life that's difficult. So that's a word for some of you people. Even if you don't go to the gym, you can get through life. Even at work, things are difficult, but you got through it. You got through them. So remember that. We can get through things. It just takes time to figure it out. Like, okay, I can't. Raising your kids. Anybody got teenagers? Sometimes it's difficult. But if you can get through certain things, you can get through with them. You just got to take your time with them. You got to take your time with them because they snapping. They snappy. And next thing you know, before you know it, you snapping back. And so we have to remember to let our anger not cause us to sin. The Bible talks about angry. Sometimes we get angry. You gonna get angry. So all anger is not bad anger. Just let it not cause you to sin, right? So we'll talk about a lot of things. Like I said, I got a lot of good topics that can help you in life, and it can help myself. So I'm doing my studies. Thank God for that. Thank God I got my mind. I can study, and I can come bring these things to you. The ones that don't attend church or just want to listen to the word on the phone or my YouTube page or whatever and want to learn. So feel free to ask me any questions, and that helps because if you got questions, right, I can look it up, right? I can study it and come back to your question specifically for you. And we can spend 30 seconds on your question, 30 to 60 seconds on your question and see what God has to say. Not what I have to say, what God has to say, right? So that's one thing I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the word straightforward. Some things we just need to get rid of. Some things we just need to stop doing, and that'll help us become better. Sometimes it's difficult. We choose to go the other route. I've been there, so I understand going the other route. But I thank God for pulling me back in. And each day I had to keep praying for myself. So you pray for me as I pray for you. And we got to stay strong. We got to stay solid. That's who we are. So we have to keep it going. We can't give up, right? We can't give up. This life is not our life. I didn't give myself life. God gave me life. So I had to keep going. I got to keep pushing. I got to keep striving. Even in the midst of issues, even in the midst of problems, I got to keep pressing forward. I am who I am. I give the word how I give the word because that's me. That's who God put me here to be. And that's all I can do. Keep it pushing. I just got a text. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Hey, hold it down. Like I said, I'm coming back. We're going to try to hopefully come back with something that can help. And sometimes we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk. We'll just talk. It's always good to talk. So we'll figure it out. So I'm out. I ain't gonna say.